Thank you, Mr. Jain, Honorable Finance Minister, Consul General Wana, my friend, Her Excellency Arun Jaitley, the Australian High Commissioner Designate to Delhi, and the members of the CI addresing delegation, friends. I think the Finance Minister's visit to the SP Jain School is very timely and very important for a number of reasons. The first is that education and skills over the last few years has really become a very important part of the bilateral agenda between India and Australia. This is taking place at different levels, in vocational training, in university education, and in scientific research. We from India see Australia as a critical partner in the Prime Minister's Skills India program. We're working very closely with a number of Australian institutions in vocational education. We're looking at different models that are emerging, some in collaboration with the National Skills Development Corporation of India, some in partnership with private Indian service providers, some utilizing the facilities of the Indian technical institutes, the Indian training institutes around the country. And in my conversations with skill providers in Australia and vocational educational institutions, I keep challenging them that you've got a phenomenal, high quality, low volume, but high cost model. That was great for Australia. Now you need to scale it up for the Indian game and bring it down in terms of costs that are affordable to the Indian pocket. And is that doable? On the educational side, sir, the bilateral dialogue in education takes place at the ministerial level. Last August, Minister Christopher Pyne took a delegation of 24 Australian Vice Chancellors to India, and it is our hope that before the end of the year, we will receive our Minister for HRD to continue that dialogue. An important dimension of that educational exchange is the Indian students who come to Australia for study. Last year, this number has gone back up to about 69,000 Indian students in various university campuses and vocational education institutions. And of course, when we talk about Indian students, many of us recall some of those incidents of violence that took place a few years back. And I have to say that it's wonderful to see how both on the Indian side and on the Australian side, at federal level and at the state government level, some really key lessons have been learned in how to minimize, how to address those issues as and when they occur. But hardly anything, and that confidence in Indian students to come back to Australia is really visible. A new development is that several Australian universities now have active collaborations and joint PhD programs with some of our leading institutions in India. The Indian Institute of Science has several partners in Australia, as do the IITs and the IIMs. In fact, during Minister Pyne's visit, Deakin University opened Monash University, in fact, opened a new joint campus in Mumbai with IIT Mumbai. Deakin University has had a campus jointly with the Energy Research Institute, TERI, in Delhi, and we hope that this is something that is going to gather momentum in the coming years. But the connections in education aren't just one way. We're also working with several Australian universities, taking advantage of the program from Indian Council for Cultural Relations to establish India chairs in Australian universities so that the study of India in Australian academic institutions can be deepened. We're working to bring visiting professors from India at different university campuses. One of the really unspoken stories of this relationship is the Australia-India Strategic Research Fund. This fund is jointly supported by $65 million grants from the Indian government and the government of Australia, equally matched by the Minister to deliver the keynote address.
The Distinguished High Commissioners for India and Australia, the President of the CII, other distinguished guests, members of the faculty of the Jain Institute. And I see a lot of young students here. Thank you very much, Nitish, to you and to the institution for having invited me. On the very first morning that, along with some colleagues, that I am in Sydney. Our routine over the next 4 or 5 days, spread over 3 different cities, is going to give us an opportunity to interact both with the government, but also with a larger body of investors in Australia. You asked me to speak on reimagining Indian economy. When we set our targets reasonably high, and T20 is probably not the only area where we want to do well. As far as the economy is concerned, it's obvious that the world is passing through a very critical phase. Trade shrinks. Across the world, trade will shrink. And the shrinkage of that trade also has impacted us. Uncertainties in the market also impact us in terms of both stock markets and currency unpredictability. Australia itself has witnessed the parity as far as currency being significantly altered in the last 2 years. And then, of course, global demand has been adversely impacted. The result of all this has been that the lower regime for prices in terms of oil, commodities, metals has had its adverse impacts on several economies in the world. Now, this is one area where in the Indian economy, we certainly have a very successful services sector, which grows at anything between 9 to 10% annually. We have a manufacturing sector currently somewhat slow but gradually improving. And adding to the global challenges, we've had an adversity as far as agriculture is concerned, because we've had 2 years of less than moderate rain, and that itself has impacted our agricultural sector. Not that our agricultural security, food security is impacted because we are still a surplus nation. But certainly it has caused agrarian distress. It has also reduced substantially the purchasing power of people living in the villages. It's in these circumstances that over the last 22 months or so, we've been really trying our best to give a boost to the Indian economy. I'm not unmindful of the fact that several factors of the past had impacted on India's image. There was some kind of a policy slowdown which the world was sarcastically referring to as policy paralysis. There was also some decisions which created unfavorable impact about India. Decisions relating to taxation. And therefore, having learned from these experiences, what is it that is being done and requires to be done in order to reposition India? I think one of the obvious decisions we had to take was that we had to open the Indian economy a lot more. What is it that is sustaining the Indian economy today? Private sector investment is a little slow, private sector is a little stressed, and therefore we had to concentrate on increased public investment, which is something which we've done. We had also to rely a lot upon what Nitish just referred to on foreign direct investment, which has significantly increased in the last 2 years. And we had to work towards increasing demand as far as the Indian markets are concerned. So I think the opening up of the Indian economy and sectors such as insurance, defense, railway infrastructure and several others, which were erstwhile unavailable to foreign direct investment, has helped us. We've also removed the unnecessary conditionalities which were slowing down the foreign direct investment. And this probably in greenfield projects has made India one of the more sought after destinations as far as foreign direct investment is concerned. The second important challenge was not only to improve India's image, but image gets improved by the fact that in actual operation, those domestically who do business in India and those who intend to invest in India go back with an impression that India is an easy place to do business. In terms of the ease of doing business, you are measured by the stability of policy, you are measured by predictability, you are measured by cutting short the time between your decision to set up an investment in India and the actual implementation of that investment. You need easy approvals and you must need very fewer approvals. And in a federal polity like India, where you have the central government, the state governments, you need to go to multiple authorities and frankly it can frustrate a project. Now I can't really claim that we've achieved everything in this regard. But I think there is a greater realization in India that in a competitive world today, not only attracting international investors to come to India, but also persuading domestic investors to stay in India, you will have to ease in your business processes. And that's an important work which is still in progress as far as India is concerned. As a part of this, I think eliminating corruption in decision making in relation to projects, because corruption not only spoils your image, it dissuades people from investment, it adds to costs of investment, I think is an important milestone where India seems to be moving forward. For instance, today in environmental clearances, in FIPB clearances, I think we've made a considerable headway. States are doing their little bit, and some of the states have also realized that those who easen business systems in India are probably going to benefit more as far as the investments are concerned. I think the third important area was to eliminate discretions of all form, to eliminate person-to-person contact and allow systems to take decisions. And I think our decisions with regard to allocations of natural resources and other government branches, where discretions have now completely been eliminated and everything is to be done on basis of a policy, which means a market mechanism or a bidding system which is transparent, it gets better revenue from the government. For the government, it also adds to the satisfaction as far as the investor is concerned, appears to have helped. A lot of laws have been straightened out as far as these areas are concerned. One of the more important areas had to be to bring India's taxation system compatible with global standards. And therefore, we are now working on a direct tax system where we want to put the disputes behind us. We want people to clean up their tax issues. And therefore, in this budget also, I have suggested various windows of clearing up all pending disputes and to bring down India's corporate tax gradually to a fair international level, which will involve no discretions, no rent-seeking exemptions, phasing all of them out gradually, and then bringing the taxation rate at a flat 25% as far as corporate tax is concerned. And that's the area in which we are now slowly moving. Indirect tax, that's an important challenge to ease in systems, and therefore the one uniform common tax for the whole country, a goods and services tax which converts India into one big market and allows the transfer of goods and services to take place across this very large market, is pending before Parliament. And I'm quite certain that it's reasonably moving towards a situation where we should be, sooner than later, be able to clear this in the upper house of India's Parliament. Now, having done this, you have still several other challenges to face. We have a problem with a stressed private sector, and therefore which has resulted in the twin balance sheet problems of both companies and also public sector banks. I think this is an important challenge which we have, which we are currently facing by recapitalizing our banks, addressing the sectors which have caused distress as far as the banking institutions are concerned. And I think one of our main areas was to concentrate on two significant areas. One was the agricultural sector, and the second is infrastructure. Now, both these sectors really hold the key. As opportunity in every way to pour in investment as far as these sectors is concerned. So, in the agricultural sector, from increased spending on irrigation to a large amount of credit offtake to a very large amount of assistance in terms of interest subventions, crop insurances, I think this is a sector which needed actual support, and therefore the emphasis of recent policy has been to concentrate on this sector. We've also utilized the regime created by low oil prices, resulting in a large amount of savings for the government to start investing as far as infrastructure is concerned. So the highway program is back almost with a bang. Rural roads we are concentrating on. Railways has undertaken a massive investment program. Airports, we are expanding the number. Ports, we are increasing the number. And this is the direction in which we are taking the economy. I'll just sum up my opening statement and leave a lot more time for interaction. That all this has resulted in basic parameters, the macroeconomic figures as far as the economy is concerned to be significant. Despite a global slowdown, we managed to maintain a 7.5% growth rate. All our parameters in terms of current account deficit, these are all very acceptable figures which we've reached. And I'm reasonably certain, as the global push to the economy slightly improves, hopefully we have a better monsoon. Therefore, these figures could look even better in the years to come. Now, this is the direction which has been given, and I'm sure in the course of the interaction, there will be a large number of questions which will enable me to clarify each one of these areas. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for most interesting and thought-provoking address today. I'm very sure that all of us in this room have benefited from the insights which you have shared with us. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Minister has just pointed out, he's kindly agreed to take a few questions from the floor. May I request you to please raise your hand before you ask the question. Please identify yourself before you ask the question. And please allow me to call you so that we have support in the house. The floor is open. Gentleman right here. Can I have the mic here?
Good afternoon, sir. It's great and great to see you here. Today is my birthday, and the second I got a great birthday gift while I'm conversing with you. Sir, my name is Arun Jaitley. I'm from Chandigarh. I work as a sustainability consultant in Sydney. My question is, like Modi came last time and he said that India doesn't need more of a money from expats, but India will need skill import from expats. And as you said in your lecture, like there are the opening of economy would attract both opportunities and challenges. And these opportunities and challenges would be addressed a good skill back in India. How you play at skills, how you attain those skills.